there, and welcome to Deeply Rooted. This is episode 113. I'm your host, Jeremiah Reiner, and thank you guys for tuning in, and we appreciate all the support. We've got a really good conversation coming up for you on this episode, but before we get there, please don't forget, head on over to our YouTube channel and on Apple Podcast, and make sure you subscribe to Deeply Rooted. You can go on there and find all of our archived episodes on the YouTube channel. And if you head on over to our website, deeplyrootedpodcast.com, you're going to find our blog post, all the archived episodes that will link you to the YouTube channel, and our upcoming ministry schedule. And there we want to plug and make sure you understand you can still register for the Deeply Rooted Conference, just a few days left before October 15th. We're going to be there at Shepherd's Rock Bible Church, there with our good friend Pastor Josh Banks, who's been gracious enough to host the conference for us. Lots of good preachers there, lots of good time to fellowship. We're going to worship. There'll be plenty of booths and vendors there as well, so lots of free gifts. I know t-shirts are going to be given out, lots of books. Should just be a really good time in the Lord to celebrate what He's done in our lives and His faithfulness. And most of all, the gospel is what we want to center around there. But again, that's October 15th. You can head on over to deeplyrootedpodcast.com and still register while there's still time. So make sure you get over there and do that. You can also find us on our Facebook group page. We'd love for you to join us there. We're sending out stuff daily. And if you're on there already, make sure you share that with other people. We'd love to enlighten them on what we're doing here at Deeply Rooted. And last but not least, make sure that you also check us out on our other platforms as well. I know some people have been listening through some Google apps and different things like that. So if you're out there and trying to find some different things, make sure you jump on over there and head on into those platforms as well. So that being said, I'm really excited about our conversation here. We are plowing towards the Deeply Rooted Conference, and one of the things that we've been doing lately is trying to interview all of our guest speakers, and we've got 2 left, and I'll talk about the last one maybe towards the end of this, which I did not think this guy was going to do it, hint, hint myself. But today we are really privileged to be here at the Free Gift Gospel Mission in Kingsport, Tennessee with Pastor Vern Hall. Vern, alongside of his wife Melissa, are the proud parents of 4 children, and they currently reside in Johnson City, Tennessee. So, brother, thank you so much for opening the door here and being on the Deeply Rooted podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. It's my joy to be with you today.
I'm going to start off, and we'll go back a little bit here. What memories do you have originally of the Lord calling you into ministry?
Well, I remember having a desire to preach publicly, street preaching and things of that nature.
How old were you about that time?
Maybe 27, about 27, 28. Okay. I received some strange advice, and I ended up running from it for a while. And, of course, over time, in God's providence, He brought me back to that desire and made a way for me to go out and be able to declare the gospel at college campuses and just any street corner or wherever there's a person who would be willing to listen. So that would be some of my earliest memories, as far as God working in my heart that desire to preach the gospel, even before I thought about pulpit ministry in the church. And I wanted to go out and publicly declare the gospel. And like I said, I ran from it for a while and tried to just, say, well, I'm just going to hand out tracts or do this or that. And there's nothing wrong with all of that. But, I was pretty stubborn there for a while. And the Lord really had to work in my heart. And I'm thankful that in His providence, He made a way for that to come to fruition.
Yeah. Do you remember the first place you ever preached?
As far as publicly?
Yeah.
As far as publicly, like in street preaching and open air, it was in Greenville, just on a random street corner in Greenville, Tennessee. And it's kind of funny because the first time I went out, I was dressed up in a full, three-piece suit and a tie and everything. It was just standing there beside the road preaching. And I think that's the only time I actually wore a suit and a tie, street preaching. But it was. I still remember that I preached from Philippians chapter 2, and just looking over. It was at a red light and looking over at cars and folks rolling their windows down, no doubt saying, what's this crazy guy here yelling about, or, whatever. But yeah, it was in Greenville, Tennessee.
Now, did I do my research right, and correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't grow up in Northeast Tennessee, correct?
That's correct. I was born and raised in Tazewell County, Virginia, a place called Richlands.
Yeah.
My dad was a coal miner, so he spent about 30-some years of his life mining coal. He would come home every day just as black as the ace of spades from the coal dust. And so, yeah, I'm a coal miner's son.
Yeah.
From Richlands, Virginia.
Nothing wrong with that. Coal country, yeah. Now, were you all a church crowd growing up? Is that the kind of family you were in, or was that something that happened later in life?
It was later in life. My family, we didn't attend church. I have vague memories of attending a vacation Bible school once when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old. And those memories are fond, positive memories that have stuck with me through these many years. But outside of that, I have recollections of maybe twice growing up when one of these doomsday prophets would predict the end of the world, and then my family would go to church for a week, maybe two. That happened like twice, and outside of that, I wasn't raised in church. I remember my dad would pray once a year, and it was on Thanksgiving Day over the Thanksgiving meal. But fortunately, toward the end of his life, he called on the Lord and made a profession of faith in one of our church services. And I'm very thankful for what the Lord did in his life.
Yeah,
he passed
God.
away in 2011. So, yeah, no, I wasn't raised in church at all.
Now, we're, obviously sitting here. I know that people listening can't tell, but we're here at your church here at the Free Gift Gospel Mission. Is this the first pastorate position you've held?
It is.
Okay.
It is. Yeah.
Did you ever hold any other type of ministry positions before you became a pastor?
At First Free Will Baptist Church in Morrison City, that's really where I started preaching at, as far as the churches are concerned. And by God's grace, they allowed me to fill the pulpit there and teach some Sunday school classes. And I also, from there, went to a lot of other congregations and preached at various different churches for about 4.5 years. Got a lot of preaching exposure while I was there.
What's the biggest change you've seen in your preaching?
As far as my personal approach to it?
Yeah, style, approach, whatever just really jumps out at you.
Well, I think I'm more seasoned now as far as just speaking. Than I was in 2003 when I first started preaching. As a young preacher in 2003, it's hard to believe it's been almost 20 years. But I felt like sometimes I would subconsciously try to emulate other people. And I think over the last number of years, that's definitely one thing that's changed, is I've just developed my own style. When I get up to preach, I'm just me.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be somebody else. And I think I felt that pressure early on.
I think a lot of us do.
Yeah. You'd hear somebody preaching on the radio and just, man, I wish I could preach like that guy. And then before you know it, at least that was my experience. You catch yourself emulating this person when it's not really. I think it's
common to see a lot of that, yeah.
And that was me. And the Lord has tempered a lot of that. And now when I preach, I'm just, I don't think about any of that. I've learned to just be myself. Be
that's good.
What He would have me to be. So, yeah, that's definitely one big change.
Now, you and I were talking right before we started recording that you had a background in education.
Yes.
How did that all come about?
Well, I started doing drywall work in 1998, which I still do part-time today. And it was just, it'll break you down. It's just, it'll make an old man out of you. It's just rough. And, I've never smoked in my life, but after breathing drywall dust for all these many years, it's so hard to tell what kind of damage you do to your body. And you could wear respirators and all that, and it doesn't catch all the dust. So I started looking for something that I could do to get away from that. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that kept coming back to me that I thought I would enjoy was teaching. So I started taking some classes and stuck with it and got my degree in early childhood education.
Where did you go to school at?
Milligan.
Okay.
Milligan College, and I pray for them every day. By the way, they have some issues this day and time, but I had a good experience there and got my degree in pre-K through third grade.
Wow.
And I taught third grade for a couple of years at Unicoi Elementary over in Unicoi County, and also had a little time teaching pre-K. So there I was, about 40 years old or so almost, and late 30s, 40, 18 4-year-olds all day long. But
so you went from hanging drywall to opening milk cartons and
tying wet shoelaces and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But I had a good experience teaching, and then the door opened for me to enter full-time ministry, which is what I really wanted to do anyway.
Did you bring anything from education into ministry with you?
Yes. Classroom management.
Yeah.
Management skills, that, and and really it comes in handy when you have like vacation Bible schools and things like that.
Yeah.
And just basic disciplinary strategies and tactics, like the quiet sign, or just 1, 2, 3 eyes on me, or little things to get their attention.
Sure.
And I incorporate stuff like that regularly into the ministry here at the church. So,
you ever catch yourself doing a lot of illustrations like that, but for that reason?
Well, it's funny you mention that, because I have a log book, a journal that I kept throughout all of that time, and that thing is several hundred pages thick. And it is a wonderful source of sermon illustrations.
Sure. Yeah.
So I tell stories and incorporate that into the preaching here at the church about the time little Justin climbed up the walls in the library and I had to pull him down, and when little Hannah came and said this or that, and it's that experience has turned into a wealth of sermon material. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned before you're married, 4 children. Where did you meet your wife at?
Well, I would like to be able to say that everything, as far as meeting my wife, was just a little perfect situation, where we met in a Bible preaching church and all like that, but that just wasn't our experience. We met in an environment that we thought at the time was conducive to a gospel preaching church. But after about a year, we began to see that it lacked just basic components of the gospel. And through God's providence, and no doubt God working through our own mistakes and shortcomings and rebellions, He led us to a little church over in Elizabethton from there, which is called Green Pine Baptist Church. And it was there where some healing started to take place. And God really began to show us that we could learn and needed to learn. And He began to open our eyes to the truth of the gospel there at Green Pine Baptist Church. And I thank God for the time that we spent there. And then in His providence from there, we ended up over at Morrison City First Free Will Baptist Church.
Yeah. You mentioned you had 4 children. How has that changed your ministry life?
Well, it's been a blessing to just be able to come to church with our family and our kids. So we're thankful for that, and it's had a lot of challenges as well, because spending a lot of late nights sitting there at the desk, and little feet running all over the house, and doors are slamming, and all that good stuff. But I wouldn't trade any of that. It's definitely been a rich blessing in our life that God has given us the children that He's given us, and we're thankful for it.
I always like to ask this to ministers, especially that have a lot of children. What advice would you give to other ministers who's got large families and trying to balance ministry and fatherhood? Don't be afraid to delegate responsibilities.
You're the head of the house. Spiritually, you're the one responsible for their upbringing and their education, and you're also the one responsible for just loving your wife and just being a faithful husband and a father. But that was one challenge that I learned that I had to relinquish as far as some of the teaching, when I couldn't be there because I had to go out of town to work or whatever, I would have to depend upon my wife to do the home Bible studies and daily devotions and things of that nature. Just don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to, delegate. And of course, I'm not suggesting that you shirk your responsibility.
Sure.
But during those difficult times, such as that, ask for help. Don't be afraid to delegate something to your wife.
Yeah. Now, you brought up something earlier in your ministry, and I think it's interesting you started out this way. But I don't think a lot of guys talk about this very much, or at least anymore, and that's open air preaching. Mm-hmm. So, first, because I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence here, maybe explain what that is for people that may not be familiar, and then we'll talk a little bit about your personal experience in that. But what is open air preaching for people that may not be familiar?
Yeah, it's just it's just declaring the gospel in the open air, going out and preaching, and just basically following the example that we see all throughout the Bible. Jeremiah preached in the open air. Jonah went to Nineveh and preached judgment to come in the open air. We see Jesus in Mark chapter 1 coming and preaching, repent and believe the gospel, in a public setting. The apostles preached in the open air.
Right.
All sorts of faithful men throughout church history just went to wherever, there was a crowd to be found, or maybe just one or two people, and just to faithfully declare the gospel to people who otherwise may never come into a theologically sound, gospel-based church to hear a well-prepared sermon. So there's just a lot of folks out there who claim to be atheists or agnostics, or maybe are wrapped up in some other false worldview, who they're just not going to come into the church house doors. So we do open air preaching because it allows us an opportunity just to obey the Lord's commands, to go into the highways and the byways and compel them to come in and to follow the Great Commission of Christ.
Now, you talked about you were doing that at a younger age. Is that something you had a burden for, or was somebody kind of taking you under their wing and helping you get into that?
I had a burden for it.
Yeah.
I don't remember anyone at that point in my life being there to disciple me or counsel me or guide me in any way. Now, thankfully, I have that now. But in the early days, it was just something that I had a burden for, and I was troubled by it at the same time, because I could go on YouTube and pull up videos of street preachers, open air preachers, and it seemed like there were a lot of abusers, those of other perspectives, Pelagian and things of that nature,
right.
And for that reason alone too, it was another reason that I ran from it for a while, because I didn't want to be associated with things that I didn't necessarily believe in, and I just wasn't aware for a long time that there are actually solid men out there who actually believe the biblical gospel, sure, who are preaching in the open air. And I think as the Lord began to reveal that to me and to introduce me to some of those folks, it really encouraged my heart. And I just made the decision to get busy, be about the Lord's business.
You got any particular stories that stand out about some of your encounters while preaching in the open air?
Yeah, I heard Brother Damon talk about preaching at the abortion clinic.
Yes.
I've been over there too. We've been over there together quite a bit. And that is very a challenging place to preach, no question about it. They're trying to drown you out with sirens and all that, just anything that they can get to distract, the people that are going in and out of the clinic from hearing the gospel. And, on college campuses, sometimes folks come out and they just want to interrupt so they can debate and things of that nature. It's a challenge. I've met one guy one time who came and introduced himself as Satan. Hi, I'm Satan. How are you? And it's just some of the professors at ETSU come out try to haggle with you and distract and things of that nature. But through it all, God is faithful.
Have you seen a lot of good fruit in that ministry?
Well, we have. We've had a lot of folks come out, ETSU and various different college campuses, and even over at the abortion clinic.
Yeah.
We've had folks just stop at random, pull into the gas station beside there, which they've changed locations now, but and just come out and say, hey, thank you guys for being here. It means a lot to us. It's an encouragement to us. And then sometimes from there, it just springboards into gospel conversations where you have an opportunity to declare the gospel to multiple folks. I remember one situation where 3 young ladies just walked up. They had seen us at the abortion clinic and pulled into the gas station and come walking over and, hey, thank you all for being here. And it led to an opportunity to share the gospel with them.
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah, we've seen some fruit from that we're thankful for.
What lessons would you share with other ministers out there who are also open-air preaching? Any word of advice you'd like to give them?
Be a part of a local Bible-believing church.
Okay.
Make sure you're submitted to the discipline of your elders, your pastors and your elders. Don't try to go it alone. Don't try to be a nomad. Have that accountability.
Yeah.
There's sadly a lot of folks out there who are doing open-air preaching who just don't go to church. And they are circumventing the whole church discipline process, which God uses as a means to minister grace into the lives of men and women. And they're depriving themselves of that. And that would be one strong piece of advice I would give to anyone, is be rooted and grounded in a solid local church.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. Speaking of local church, here at the Free Gift Gospel Mission, you guys meet, 3 times a week, Sunday night, Wednesday, is that correct?
Yep, Sunday school's at 10 o'clock, and then we have the Sunday morning service at 11, and Sunday evening at 6, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock.
And real quick, give out the address in case anybody's wondering where that might be at.
It's right downtown in Kingsport. The address is 1025 Maple Street, and just parallel to Dale Street, just off Wilcox Drive.
Okay. And you have any social media? Do you have a website, anything like that they can reach you at?
Yes, we have a YouTube channel. We've got over 1,600 videos uploaded on YouTube.
Okay.
That you could watch at your convenience. Several playlists on there where we've preached through books of the Bible. I'm on Facebook. The church has a public Facebook page, the Free Gift Gospel Mission. I'm also on Twitter. I don't use Twitter a lot, but I do have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
So, but you can find me on Twitter. And we have a weblog page. It's Free Gift Gospel Mission at WordPress.com.
Okay.
So we're located there as well.
Now, what are you currently preaching through right now?
We're preaching through Esther.
Okay.
We just finished up not too long ago in the book of Acts. We spent 6 years.
Wow.
In the book of Acts. Of course, we took some breaks along the way in that amount of time. But we finished that up not long ago, and we are in Esther. As a matter of fact, Lord willing, we'll start in chapter 3 of Esther tomorrow night.
Okay, good deal. Now, you're going to be speaking for us at the conference. We're looking forward to that. And you mentioned to me earlier, be in Ephesians 1, right?
Yes.
Just a real quick, without obviously going into a lot of the message, like topic and where you're kind of headed on that as far as the subject you're going to be handling.
Well, in Ephesians chapter 1, Paul is writing there, and he's talking about things that the Ephesians already know. He's saying, you already know this, but we need to take this enlightenment that the Spirit has already given you and drive it deep into your understanding. Yeah. You already know it, but you've got to drive it deep into your understanding. So just the general gist of the sermon, it's rooted in the enlightenment of the Spirit. Yeah. Take the things that you already know and just drive it down deep.
Should be really good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think all the gentlemen who are going to be preaching there, I'm really looking forward to all those messages and a good time. And again, if you haven't signed up on that and registered, again, you've got just a few weeks really quickly. October 15th is coming around the corner. There's Shepherd's Rock Bible Church for the Deeply Rooted Conference. But Pastor Vern here will be there. And matter of fact, you might be preaching right before me. which is not good. I got to follow that, so that's that's going to be tough. So
I think I'm on second.
Okay, yeah, I think they
I am.
put me batting third, and I got a feeling I might have a hard time coming up behind that one. So
I look forward to it. I look forward to hearing everyone, and
yeah,
it's going to be a good time, no doubt about it.
Well, speaking of good time, we always like to close with this. And I warned you ahead of time, and you agreed to it. We always like to give some rapid-fire questions when we interview pastors, and especially about their story and testimony and stuff. So here's 10 of them if you're ready.
I'm ready.
I'm
in the hot seat, but I'm ready.
Here we go. Number 1, what's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? It's hard to think of one right off the bat, but I did see Top Gun Maverick. It wasn't too bad, so by default, I guess I'll say Top Gun Maverick.
Furthest place you've ever traveled to?
I haven't gone too far. I would say probably Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay, pretty good. What's the last book you read?
Growing Downward by Nick Thompson.
Okay, I got a feeling I'll be reading that since you get to that to me, yeah. Where's the strangest place you've ever preached?
Probably the abortion clinic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just really out of your comfort zone, I guess.
Yeah, there's so much distractions there, and it's a rough place to preach, definitely.
Best vacation destination if you got to go to one?
That I've been to?
Sure.
Probably Indian Springs, Florida. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite soda?
Mountain Dew.
Attaboy. I like it. Here's a good one. We never asked this to anybody before. I'm interested in this one. Biscuits and gravy or pancakes for breakfast?
Biscuits and gravy. I'm 220 pounds of biscuits and gravy.
My man, yeah. Is there a nickname you go by?
Just Vern.
Okay.
Vern's a nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah. My real first name is Forrest.
Okay.
And I don't have a clue how Vern came along. Well, I think I do, but yeah, Vern is a nickname.
So Vern is the nickname.
Is an
I did
actual
not know
nickname.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
Neat. Would you rather officiate a wedding or a funeral?
Funeral.
Okay, I would too. A lot of ministers actually say that.
And there's a reason that I say that is because you've probably seen the videos of weddings where the husbands are about to faint. Well, I almost fainted officiating a wedding.
Oh,
As the minister.
Yeah.
As the minister, I almost fainted. Because you've got that bride there. She's been
a big
dreaming.
Day, yeah.
She's been dreaming of this since she was 4 years old. Baking meals on a plastic oven, and you just don't want to do anything to mess it up.
Yep.
And it is so much pressure. And I'd rather do a funeral any day. But of course, there's some qualifiers and distinctions that probably need to be made there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just generally speaking, I find weddings very challenging.
Yeah, they're a lot of pressure. They really are. Yeah. All right, last one here. A little bit more spiritual. What's your favorite Bible verse?
Just the whole passage from Ephesians 2, the first 10 verses.
Yeah.
That's probably what I've preached from more than anything and quoted more than anything. I love Ephesians chapter 2. It's no doubt my favorite.
Awesome. Well, that wasn't too bad. Rapid fire went pretty well. Yeah, I'm glad to know another biscuit and gravy guy. So. Hey, I'll tell you what, thank you, brother, for being on here. We appreciate you opening your door, really. This is really nice to be here at the Free Gift Gospel Mission. Again, if you're looking for a quality church here in the Kingsport area, please give these guys a chance. I think you'd be very appreciative of what they've got going on here in the ministry that they're doing here in Kingsport, Tennessee. Don't forget, head on over to our YouTube channel and on Apple Podcast, hit that subscribe button, leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us if you have any questions or maybe some topics that you'd like to see us cover. That's drigw18@gmail.com. One more time, drigw18@gmail.com. Don't forget to head on over to our website, deeplyrootedpodcast.com. You can still really quickly sign up and register there for the Deeply Rooted Conference, but we've also got our blog post on there, all the archived episodes leading to our YouTube channel and upcoming ministry schedule. Find us on Facebook, join the group page there, and we'd love to hear from you. So until next time, brother, I appreciate you coming on and being on Deeply Rooted Podcast.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. We hope you guys have a great week in Jesus.